Welcome to Live with Candace Parisi. I am Candace Parisi, and this is a question and answer format. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm here Facebook Live, hanging out with you, doing psychic readings and mediumship. I'm a spiritual teacher, and I'm an intuitive counselor, and this is a great place to get a reading. If this is your first time here, welcome, and thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me. Hi, Nancy. I have been a psychic professionally since I was 20 years old. I am 47, so there it is. And this is my passion. And so on Mondays and Wednesdays, I come here and hang out with some of my favorite people. What's here? What's going on there? All right, that's fun. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Karen. Hi, Sandra. How's everybody doing? Welcome. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Candace. Candace with an A. Hi, Corian. Hi, Chickless. Hello, Melissa. Good. Welcome. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Good. Let's see here. Let me put this here. Da, da, da. And then, hi, Linda. How are you? All right, did it. Oh, good job, Candace. Hi, Fiona. How are you doing? Good. Good. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be using the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If there's any loved ones that you want to connect to, if there's any, anything at all, please feel free to ask. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Darlene. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you tomorrow morning, Karen. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Candace. Hi, Randy. How are you? Hi, Shauna. Hi, Leslie. Good. Lynn asks, you don't like tomatoes? You're right. I think tomatoes are disgusting. I know that's not the popular thing to say. I know that's not popular. And I'm a farmer and I grow tomatoes, because the other people like tomatoes, like my daughter. But tomatoes are disgusting. Like, they're real gross. Like, anything that has tomatoes in it is gross. I don't think we should eat it. I've decided in my life that I'm going to be anti something, and I've stuck with it. And it's one thing, and it's tomatoes. And so if you eat them, I'm so sorry you do that. That's disgusting. But I happen to have a little being in my house who loves them and just chomps them down like apples. And, you know, it's not gross then, but it's gross for me. Yes, Ellen, I don't like tomatoes. And what else don't I like? Yeah, raw tomatoes, Barbara. Ugh. Just anything tomatoey. I don't know. What else is gross? I didn't like peppers for a long time, but I've recently, my little daughter got me onto peppers a little bit, so peppers aren't so bad. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Jessica. Good. Good. Hi, Vienna. How are you? You haven't? Well, I'm glad you're here. Brianna, I hope you follow, and I don't know how people see or don't see it. Sometimes it pops up in people's feeds, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm glad you're here now. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Kimberly. Yeah, it's good. And so, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Barbara. And I'm going to pick a card for every 25th person, starting in the middle. And that says she loves tomatoes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Christina says, what about pizza? No, man. No. Like, just like chunky, like, I don't know. It's gross. But I'll make somebody else a pizza. But no. Nothing tomatoes. It's so gross. No. Ketchup? No. Just gross. Yeah, I have to have like one thing in life, and that's it. It's ketchup and it's probably sharks. Ketchup, or not ketchup, tomatoes and sharks. Those are the two things that I'm like anti. I'm against sharks and I'm against tomatoes. Against them. Those are the two things. That's all I'm holding on to as my two big fears. Tomatoes and sharks. Yes. Hi, Carolyn. Yes. Good. And so, ask anything you'd like. And I'm glad you're here too, Sharon. At the end, I'm going to pull a card for everybody here. I put a link there with my website. If you want to get a private reading with me, you would go to travelingintuitive.com to book a session. In a private reading with me. Hi, Logan. I'm really blunt and straightforward. I'm that here too as well, but I dance a bit because we're in a group and I don't want to tell your business in public. So I'm very respectful to you as much as your privacy as you can have when you're asking a question. And so it's a safe place to do so. And so while you're showing up and while you're sharing, I will also share first. Here's our mug tonight. Hi, Rain. We've had this one for a while, actually. And so he's getting a little tired. It's time for me to get some new mugs. And hit the heart button if you're healing something in your life. Hit the heart button if you are healing. Today, I had a lot of sessions today where the theme was around personal healing. Like, sometimes health healing, sometimes mental health healing, sometimes healing from wounds in a relationship, sometimes healing from trauma in your life, sometimes healing from, dysfunctional work environments. Healing seemed to be the theme today. And healing often doesn't happen in these giant leaps. I think often we're like, I just want to feel better. I just want to fucking feel better. And oftentimes healing doesn't happen in these giant leaps. It happens in these tiny permissions. Sometimes healings happens in tiny permissions. And sometimes you have to give yourself permission to heal. And so if you're working on healing these different places in your life, sometimes we've got to give ourselves tiny permissions all day. I think that we're like, come on, life, like heal this thing for me or help me get through this. Sometimes when we come up against obstacles, those are moments for you to give yourself tiny permissions, and so it's this journey that we go on sometimes. And so each person is different. Sometimes a person can just heal and be like, well, I'm good now. And sometimes that's not the case. And so just be gentle with yourself on your healing journey. I think a lot of people are going through things that they're trying to work through and heal in their life. And so yours is private and just yours. And sometimes we need permissions, like to give ourselves permission to do so. I don't know if we ever think about that, Yes. Sometimes we give ourselves, these breadcrumbs as a person, and we allow people in our life to give us breadcrumbs in this kind of like tiny little, moments, or I don't know. It's, sometimes we're begging life for breadcrumbs, and it's in asking for the whole healing. It's in asking permission for yourself, but asking your guidance for help with the whole healing of you, just in the bite-sized pieces kind of way that we need in order to feel safe inside of healing, especially hard stuff. And so just being gentle with yourself while you're healing. Yes, good. I'm sending you all my love, and anybody, I think that everybody's working on or healing something. Or hi, Patty. I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. Healing something in their life. And so I'm sending love to anybody who's going through their own war, their own struggle inside themselves. Yes. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to get started. I am going to be using this deck. And so the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me. If you could share this live, if you could follow, if you could do all the stuff, that'd be great. And if you don't, that's fine too. You don't have to do it. Don't feel obligated. But if you'd like to, you can. And thank you again so much for being here. And I'm going to start in the middle. And thank you so much for asking your questions. Any questions that you want to ask about your life, any loved ones that you want to connect to, please feel free to ask. Okay, let's see here. Right in the middle is Linda Henderson. Hi, Linda Henderson. Linda Henderson says, am I still on track to retire and move back to her home in Alabama next May? Okay. Am I still on track to retire to move back to our home in Alabama next May? Okay, I'm going to pull a card for you. Thank you so much for asking your question. Hit the bar button if you live in Alabama. I don't know if I spent like big chunks of time in Alabama. My family lives in South Carolina. And so I've driven through Alabama a lot. I haven't spent a lot of time in Alabama. Let's see here. Okay. All right. So, higher power. Alrighty. So first of all, as soon as I connect you, have a lot of loved ones that have passed away. People who, I don't know, I think that the people who have passed away part of your life, sometimes we have so many people who have passed away, it becomes like a trauma almost, like we're waiting for the next thing to happen, almost like a PTSD of losing things, right? And so there's a male who's passed away that is very excited about your move. You do show up as moving, going backwards, so going back to where you were from before, a little bit before May, so April or right at the beginning of May. You show up as financially being able to, being ready to, personally being able to, and that you are not going alone. You're going alone like you're making the journey on your own. But this male that's passed away says that this has been a hard several years, and that for moving forward there isn't big hardships, and that when you do go back, it's as if your happiness is back on the calendar, he says. That your happiness is back on the calendar. You just haven't turned the page yet. But going back shows up as turning that page. You're always going to grieve, and you're always going to feel like that there's some losses there. But you don't show up as feeling the same way where you do now, where it feels like heavy. Feels like where you live now feels like it's expired and it's heavy. Making that move back 100% you're able to personally. You don't show up as not making that decision. It feels like you're very supported when it comes to being loved by people who have passed away. I think there might be even less people in your life that haven't passed away, you know? And so sometimes it feels like, you know, the ones that are the closest to you have already left, you know, have already not a person anymore. And so, but especially this one male, who's incredibly close to you and is around you all the time and loves you very, very much, and is younger, is not a older person in your life, and isn't somebody who's passed away a long time ago either, is coming with you. Everybody's coming with you, but one is yelling, he's coming with you, and who knows you from Alabama as well. And so, yes, The answer is yes. The long answer, the short answer is yes. Yeah, good, good. Well, thank you so much for asking your question. Okay, let me get to the next person. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And thank you so much for being here. Yes. Good. Hello. Hello. Oh, 25. Hi. 25 is Babette. Babette? Babette. Last name Gillard. Babette. Hi, Babette. How are you? She said, I lost my son 19 years ago. It was more difficult than it has been. Any messages from him, please? Great question. Let's send lots and lots of love to Babette. She says she lost her son 19 years ago, and it's more difficult than it has been. Yeah. Okay. And so when it comes to your son, first he expresses, so he definitely is very present in your life. And, he says that he fell asleep. And so when he thinks about his passing, that he fell asleep, or that it was something that had some quickness to it when it comes to him not feeling like he was suffering. When it comes to you, he has watched you survive so many things over the last almost 20 years. And he has felt like almost like your parent. He says that a few years back you had some health stuff. He, held your hand and walked you through that. And that a few years before that, you lost somebody else that was special to you that didn't pass away. This person just left your life, or you felt abandoned. That right now you feel like that you're walking through a lot of different things on your own, and right now you're also taking care of somebody, or there's somebody in your life that's coming into your life to be taken care of by you. So there's always this sort of like revolving door of your son feeling like that he is holding your hand through challenging moments, and that you have truly survived. And you've been so brave and wonderful, and he loves you. And he also sticks by. He also sticks by a woman that he keeps saying sister, but he's not pointing to if it's his sister or your sister. But there's a sister, and it's your sister, because she's much older. So your sister pays attention to your sister as well. And just want you to know that it's been extra hard right now, because he's been around a lot more. Oftentimes when a loved one passes away, they give the griever space. Because when they're right on top of you, it's hard to not continuously grieve them, right? And so it feels like that he's given you, space. But more recently, he's been really, really such a big part of your life. And he says that you are not broken. You are not broken. You are the evidence that survival looks beautiful. And so you are not broken. You're the evidence that survival looks beautiful. And he loves being your son. And so these next couple of months are going to continue to feel hard. Because he's real cozy in your life right now. And he wants to be closer. You know, he wants to get your attention more. And so you might feel sad more. But he wants you to know that he's your guardian in your life now. And you're not doing anything by yourself. That he is there with you through everything that you're up to. Yes. Okay, good. He loves you. He says over the last year and a half, there's been more isolation. Are you feeling isolated? And so he says that he's back in your life like this much, like in your business so much, because he says it's time for you to venture back out. Yes. God. Well, thank you so much for asking your question. Your son is wonderful. You're a wonderful mom. Okay, good. All right. Let me get to the next person. And thank you so much for sending her love, and anybody who's lost a child or anybody, but geez, you're a kid. That's wild. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. Let me get to the next person. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And thank you so much for being here. Oh, Babette, thank you for sharing that with me. Yes. Okay. Hello. Yes, and if you'd like to get a reading with me, you go to travelingintuitive.com to book a session. I put the link there for you. Yes. 25 is Cheryl Pierce. Hi, Cheryl Pierce. Cheryl Pierce says, hi, my friend. Hello, Cheryl Pierce. She says, am I talking to my true love? All right, perfect. Let me pull a card for you. Thank you so much for asking your question. Am I talking to my true love? Okay. Okay. A leg up. So, am I talking to my true love? Yes. Yes. And so here's the difference between when I'm looking at your past humans that you've chosen, which haven't always been the best case scenario, and this person. So, a person who truly loves you will, not just like hold and be there for the light of you, right? They'll hold on to and, they will hold your shadows with respect as well, like the hard stuff. Somebody who is interested and connected to you regardless that you're messy. And I think in the past you've put on a show and you've tried to be your best for people, and it didn't work out. And this person has the emotional intelligence and threshold to love all of the things and love the messy parts and love you even more because you're messy. And this person has their own messiness. And I think sometimes relationships is just seeing if two messes match. Like we're all messes, but like, does the mess match? Does not just all the sexy stuff at the beginning, but once you guys start like farting, those types of things, where there's like the actual human being part where you're not putting on a show, doesn't match. And for you too, it does. Your farts match is what I'm trying to say. So it does. It feels like that this is a great person for your life. And I think that it's moving at a pace that makes you feel uncomfortable. Like it's not like fireworks and like the person's like putting on, I love you in 15 seconds. It's at a pace that makes you uncomfortable because it's not all the definites are definite. And I think that's okay too. Yeah, that sort of run in the door relationship stuff feels really good at the beginning, and normally has no legs long term. And so this is a really great relationship. Yes. God. Oh, thank you so much for asking your question. Okay, let me get to the next person. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me. Happy Wednesday. What are you guys up to this weekend? Yes. Are you doing anything fun? What am I doing? Am I doing anything fun? I think I'm maybe going to the zoo. I don't know. I need to change the water filter on my refrigerator. Huh? That's what I'm gonna be doing. That's big. That's a big highlight. Let's see. Okay, 25. 25 is Dana Ty Lens. Tielens. Hi, Dana. Dana says, why did the judge or legal system turn against me in my divorce and award my ex-husband, who physically abused me, everything? Why? Okay, so the question is, why did the judge or legal system turn against me in my divorce and award my ex-husband, who physically abused me, everything? Okay. Let's send Dana lots and lots and lots and lots of love. And I'm going to pull a card for you. Thank you so much for asking your question. Okay. All right. Okay. To be fair, this is a card of justice, right? In a tarot deck, this would be the justice card, right? It's also the card of Libra, which is, I only know that because I'm a Libra, and but it's the scales, and on one side you have a fortune cookie that says nope as the fortune, and the other side is a treasure, right? And so it's the scales to that. Your situation, each person's situation is different. Your ex-husband got all the stuff and was awarded everything, like you're saying, and because he had better legal representation than you. That's it. That's the reason. It doesn't show up as it's because it's fair or that he should have. He was better represented than you. You did not represent yourself as well as him. That's it. That's the only reason when I'm looking at it. It does feel like that you weren't advocated for correctly. And that would be the only reason why. And so, in this, it's what's hard about this is that you don't get that closure. You don't get the acknowledgement that, hey, I have been abused and hurt and dismissed and made to feel crazy and wrong and anxious. I have trauma. I have all of these things. And the end result to finally having the strength to leave that situation is that a legal system said that I'm not worth all of these things and that he is. And so it's put you in this position of continuing to carry guilt, a different anger, resentments, sadness, and pain in you, which means he's still winning. He still holds an enormous amount of real estate in your body and in your brain and in your heart. He holds a lot of real estate in you. And you spend a lot of time feeling these feelings that you have, and your feelings are important. So continue to feel all your feelings. And also, we have to find this closure on our own now. And in that, it's going to require you to walk all the way through your feelings and then come to the place where you say, no more. I don't have any more energy to spend on this person and this human being. And that's where your win is. Your win is deciding to choose yourself again. And fully, not just choose yourself like I divorced the idiot, but regardless that you divorced him, he still holds a lot of space in you. The divorce that will make you feel like you won something is when he doesn't. And so we just have to do the work around walking all the way through our emotions, which we have not done, right? And then coming out the other end of them where he doesn't have any place in you left. And because you are, you feel done and healed. And I think that what you want is justice. And you're not going to get it. And so we've got to get through the anger part of that because of the circumstances, because you weren't represented well. That's it. That's the only reason. And so, we've got to be our own justice now by deciding we're not going to compromise our health, our emotional well-being, our mental health, and our life at all anymore for this human being. And so you're divorcing all those layers, and over this next year, it takes about a year. I mean, this relationship is a journey. That's been a long journey, something that was long enough to feel normalized for a long time. And so it takes another year for you to feel like you've unwound those things, and so, let's stay in anger and sadness and, resentment, until you don't want to feel those feelings anymore. And then we just need to do the internal divorce process of him not holding any space anymore. Yes. I'm sending you lots of love. I'm sorry that all those things happened. And I'm sorry you didn't get the justice at the end of it. Sometimes a lot of times, almost all the time, that's really important, especially when you're with somebody who hurt you and didn't apologize, you're not going to get a closure. At least you can get that sort of legal closure, and you're not even going to get that. So now you're in charge of your closure. And that's sometimes really difficult to do. Yes. All right. I'm sending you lots of love, and thank you for sending Dana lots and lots of love. And anybody who's gone through abuse. Yes. Okay. All right. I'm going to get to the next person. I'm going to get to 2 more people in the comments, and then I'm going to pull a card for everybody here. So stick around for that. And thank you so much for being here. And if you haven't, Stacy Leggett, yes. Hi, Alexandra. Hello. If you'd like to get a reading with me, you would go to travelingintuitive.com to book a session. I have a link there for you. I'd love to have a reading with you. Yes. Hello. Okay, let me see here. Okay, 25. 25 is normal. Norma. Sorry, normal. Norma. It could be normal. You know why I said normal is because your name is Norma L. Martinez, which is Normal Martinez. I'm just saying. So your name is Normal. Hi, Normal. How are you? How are you doing? Just as hi, Candace. I will have a surgery on Friday. Will I be okay? Okay, let's send lots of love to Norma Martinez. She says she's going to have a surgery on Friday. And she wants to know if she's going to be okay. Okay, let me pull a card for you. Thank you so much for asking your question. Okay. Okay. So, serendipity. So, is your surgery going to be okay? Yes. You show up as, this is a surgery. When I'm looking at you, it's something that you need. It's something that you have put a lot of thought around. It's something that you've known you needed for a while, and you have the right person doing it. You have the right situation. And so, yeah, it does. It shows up as something that goes really well. And you show up as feeling really happy with the outcome and happy with the end result. And then the recovery time feels doable. Like it feels like it's going to be very okay. And so I think you walk away from it feeling like you're glad you did it and you have more quality of life. Yes. Good. Well, thank you so much for asking your question, and thank you for sending love. And message me. Let me know how you're doing after Friday. Yes. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get to one more person in the comments, and then I'm going to pull a card for everybody here. And thank you again so much for being here. Okay. Hello. 25. 25 is Marcy Kavanaugh. Hi, Marcy Kavanaugh. Marcy Kavanaugh says, will I get pregnant soon? Great question. Hit the heart button. Heart button if you want to get pregnant soon. Yes. Anybody else trying to get pregnant? Marcy, will I get pregnant soon? Okay, great. Thank you for asking your question. Okay. TikTok. You show up as being pregnant in the next 3 months. And so that feels soon. It feels like something you've been working on, though. It feels annoying. Feels like something that you put some effort into so far, and it feels like you're, feels like, can I please get pregnant? And so over the next 3 months, you show up as pregnant, and that pregnancy going to you making a whole human being. And everything feels good around it. I think that you have all of the health and the ability to get pregnant. I think that it's just been the science part of the show. I think that you're doing all the right actions to get pregnant. And so over these next 3 months, it feels like there's ease around the project of getting pregnant and having a beautiful child. And so good. Congratulations. Yes. Some people really like pregnancies and some people don't. Everybody has their own, their own relationship with pregnancy. Some people have a really hard time getting pregnant, or have, infertility stuff. You show up as getting pregnant and just having a child. Yeah. So good. Good. Well, thank you so much for asking your question. Good. And thank you everybody for asking your questions. And I'm here on Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time doing psychic readings and mediumship. And if you'd like to get a private reading with me, you'd go to travelingintuitive.com to book a session. I'd love to have a reading with you. I have the link there. I have 30-minute and 1 hour sessions available. And so if you'd like to have a session with me privately, if you want to connect the loved ones that you have in your life that have passed away, if you want to, question I got the other day was, how quickly can I connect to somebody who's passed away after they've passed away, as soon as they pass away. And so there isn't a time gap, for me. I don't know if that's the case for everyone, but that's the case for me. And in pretty much unless a person has just no desire to connect to loved ones, in almost every reading, I want to go with 80%. I connect to a person's loved ones that have passed away, along with working on working on whatever it is that you want to work on in a session. And so if you would like to, do that, you'd go to travelingintuitive.com. And I'm going to pull a card for everybody here. This is for the 106 people who are here and anybody who's here in the future. And thank you again so much for being here and hanging out with me. Yes. All right. Let's see. Okay. Building blocks. Good. We oftentimes we take an inventory in our life and we put things in categories. And oftentimes we have these categories of things we did right and things we did wrong. And we're trying not to do the things wrong. We're trying to build the things in our life that are right. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to not do things wrong or the wrong way or look stupid or, all of these things. And it's uncomfortable when we do the things wrong. But a big something that really holds space in a person when it, I think that it probably happens to everybody at some point, is they come across a situation where they feel like they ruined everything. They ruined it. Take a moment to think about, if in what situation in your life, if you could go back, you would change it because you just ruined everything. That sentence and that feeling holds a lot of weight in a person and really stunts us from making decisions sometimes, doing things that have risk, that involves certain factors, because at some point we ruined something. We've really fucked it up. We really messed it up. We really didn't do a very good job. And so we oftentimes we have this moment in our life where we do that, and then we build a story about ourselves past that point where we kind of hold ourselves hostage, and we don't stretch as far because we're somebody who, made a big mistake or really hurt something or somebody or really ruined everything. And it's in remembering that you're a human being with a body and a brain, and you're messy. And sometimes you're going to fuck up. Sometimes you're not going to get it right. Sometimes you're going to hurt somebody. And sometimes you're going to say the wrong things. And sometimes, maybe sometimes, you're going to ruin everything. Now, it's being able to move forward and to not limit our life because of those circumstances, but to grow and to continue growing, continue trying, continue being better, and realizing as well that everybody's doing it. You're a person. You're not going to get it all right. And everybody's fucking it up. Everybody's has their moment. Everybody has a communication day, time, month, year where they sucked. Everybody sucks. Everybody, not just you. And so it's part of having a body and a brain. Now, if we suck all the time and we know that we suck and we're just sucking and hurting people, that's a different circumstances. You need to get your shit together. But that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about at all. But if you're just out there hurting people, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is sometimes you're going to have a day and have a time and have a conversation and have a moment where you're not okay and you're not doing it right and you suck and you're ruining it. And it's just being gentle with yourself. It's just being loving and caring with yourself. It's just not putting pounds and pounds of expectations on yourself to be this magnificent all things all the time. And in doing that, you're having compassion with yourself. And if there's anybody that you should be compassionate with, it's you. Because you hang out with you 24/7. You should have you locked in on how much that you care and love and feel compassion for you. You're your buddy. Nobody knows you like you. And so next time you ruin everything, next time you suck, which could be like in 5 minutes from now, it's just going to be any time. It's in also being compassionate with yourself, knowing that your next door neighbor is probably sucking and everybody's doing a little bit of messing up, and then growing through it and working through it and being better because of it and apologizing for it and not putting a story and a pressure on yourself that you're a sucky person because you sucked yesterday. Just sometimes you're going to suck, and it's just being okay with it as much as you can and then getting better. Yes. Okay, good. God, well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sucking. Thank you for... thank you, and growing through it. And I hope you don't suck tomorrow, but if you do, fuck it, try to make your sucking very short. Try to, try to recognize it and then try to be really gentle with yourself. And, and make sure that you're treating yourself with the most love even when you're not doing the very best job being a person. Yes. Good. Good. Well, you are everything you're looking for. And I can't wait to see you on Monday. And I hope you have a beautiful weekend. I'll see you soon. Okay. All right. Bye.